Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here on the channel, Charles Morris. Today today on this video, I want to be talking about, one of the, deadly, pardon me, mass shootings that have, taken place here in America. This was another one that I wanted to actually, talk about because, this one was, out of all mass shootings that have happened here in the year of 2023, that have happened here in the United States, it's becoming, it's becoming pretty obvious that there is all these mass shootings that is, like, happening since 2023 had actually been since the beginning of 2023, there have been a bunch of mass shootings that have been going on, and so far 2023 isn't looking so good. Now, there is this has been reported by NBC News, and the shooter suspect, his name is Beau Wilson. Now, honestly, the motive that he had for carrying out this mass shootings, it's unclear, but what was said was he was battling a mental illness that he eventually lost. So, there have been 3 elderly women that have been injured, and 6 others, or 3 other elderly women are, the 3 elderly women have been killed, 6 others have been injured. Now, today's show said, 7, but NBC News said 6 were injured, and ABC News had said that 6 were injured as well, so that's... what I'm really gonna be going with is 6 others were injured along with the 3 elderly women that were killed. So, here's how here's the list. 97-year-old Gwendolyn Schofield had been murdered. 73-year-old Melody Ivie and Shirley Voita had been killed as well. Now, all these women were at least in their 70s. And what Beau Wilson did is he scared cops to take him on, and he said that he wanted the police to come and kill him. Beau Wilson had 3 different guns, including an AR-15, which is... If I had to really describe how most of these mass shootings were going to go out, I'd say that at least most of these killers are going to use an AR-15 to carry out their kind of plot of mass shooting. And the AR-15 is capable of firing multiple rounds and that stuff. So, yeah, it's common that an AR-15 is going to be used in, like, a lot of these mass shootings. And so far, there had been 225 mass shootings this year. And the number will continue to grow as we progress through 2023. And 2023, like, as I expect or suspect that 2023 is going to be, like, one of the worst years we've ever had because of these deadly mass shootings. Well, that's probably pretty much how the year 2023 is going to be. I think it's pretty obvious. Now, I want to move on. So, the first weapon that Beau Wilson fired was an AR-15 that was fired from his home. And as he walked down the block, he began firing at random homes and cars. And just after he fired 140 bullets from his AR-15, that's when he began firing at random homes and cars. So after dropping the AR-15, after he fired 140 shots from the AR-15, he moved down the block and began firing at random homes and cars. Just in front of the, when the shooter got in front of the First Church of Christ at 713 North Dustin, Beau Wilson had been shot dead by the cops. Wilson had access to 1,400 rounds of ammunition, and according to what authorities said, that he had 10 other weapons at his residence. Could they have been guns? Possibly, yeah. So, yeah. These mass shootings are very, very dangerous. And clearly, I mean, killing 3 elderly women, why? I mean, why? It's so sad. And you injured 6 others. And, let's just begin to, think of how big of a nightmare it would be to be if you were, like, out on the streets, for example, and you, saw some kind of dude just, randomly going up and just, shooting down the street at random, and you just, you just have no idea what's happening. You just actually, you have no idea what's going on. You hear gunshots, but you have no idea where they're coming from. And there's random fire just about everywhere. And you have no idea where it's coming from until actually you start, until you drive down the block of where this shooter is firing, and then you see some guy who is just firing an AR-15 and just firing at, like, anywhere at random, and you're like, you'd probably be like, is there anything wrong with this guy? Yeah, of course, because this Beau Wilson pretty much had, like, a mental illness that he was battling, that he lost, and the motive of this mass shooting that Beau Wilson had carried out, yeah, he pretty much, yeah, I think he became, like, so mentally unstable that he was, he just probably didn't even know what he was doing at the time or whatever, and he just decided that to get rid of his mental illness, he probably decided to just go and just, kill people just to get rid of his anger that he was feeling. And he decided to just kill 3 elderly women so he could just get rid of his... He probably thought that would just get rid of his mental illness and then, get fire happy, just shooting at random with 2 other pistols that he had, according to what authorities say, down there in Farmington, New Mexico. Authorities said that he had, like, 2 other handguns with him. And he started firing right after dropping the AR-15. He started firing at random cars and homes with his pistols. And right at the point when he got to the church, right when the police reached him at the First Church of Christ at 713 North Dustin, that's where Beau Wilson, this mass shooter, had been shot dead. And the heroism, the police were the hero of, stopping people from dying. Because this Beau Wilson was so mentally unstable, I should say. And he was just decided that going and just killing people in his hometown was going to fix everything when it actually didn't. I mean, who in their right mind would actually think that going and killing people would help them get rid of some of their stress that they're feeling? I mean, no, it's just gonna pile up even more. I mean, that's just the reality of it. So, I mean, let's be real. I never would be doing something like this if if I had some kind of problem with somebody and that stuff. You know what? I would just have a talk about it. Or, just, find some way to handle my own problems besides committing any kind of mass shooting. I mean, I just want to be honest with you. I'd never want to be committing a mass shooting ever. Because I know what the consequence would be if I were ever a murderer. One, I'd be pretty much sitting in a jail cell or prison cell for life. Or two, I would get this death sentence. And people would probably pretty much be wondering, why is this channel not even having uploads anymore and that stuff? Well, if I ever murdered anybody, which I would never do anything like that, because I know what the consequences would be. But if I had, or if I ever did, people would know why my channel wouldn't be getting videos anymore. It's because either the uploader of the YouTube channel is either in jail or prison, or the uploader of the YouTube channel is just shot dead. I mean, that would just, that would be that. But no need to worry. I don't have that heart for carrying out any kind of a murder. I don't have that heart to be hating anybody. And, it's never good. It's never good. I mean, that's just me. And, excuse me, let me just share one story that I think probably a lot of you have heard this before, but I have been in I've been in a school over in New York, and we've had a day where we've had somebody was out there walking by school property that had a gun, and the school immediately went on lockdown, and I was very, very scared what was happening. Everybody thought that this guy was going to, shoot up the school, but what he actually was doing was he just had his weapon to go hunting. I'm sure everybody, or a lot of people in New York, knew exactly that any kind of murder or mass shooting would be like, a critical and or a complete felony, and you know right after, if that guy committed a mass shooting that day over there from where my school was, this guy probably would have had a much more difficult time after he got out of jail to get a job. And that's the thing about when you go to prison or jail. You pretty much have a much harder time finding a job, because that's written right on your applications. Most jobs ask you, have you ever been convicted of a felony? And your job would want to know exactly what it is. And then sometimes jobs will hire you, sometimes jobs won't, depending on if you're a very bad criminal or you've had like multiple felonies on your head. It depends. Sometimes jobs can deny you jobs, depending on how bad of a person you've been, to, how many violations of the laws you had. I mean, sometimes they can just not hire you anymore. I mean, it's sad. It's sad how people just continue these kind of mass shootings and a bunch of other felonies that would completely just, prevent you from getting a job. Some jobs will take you, some jobs won't. It just depends on how bad you've been to it depends on how bad you've been to the law. Yeah. So, Beau Wilson been shot to death. And this is what monsters deserve. They truly deserve to be, put to death. Now, I'm not going to say anybody deserves it, but when you're a monster, when you decide you want to be like some kind of monster toward people, when it comes to mass shootings or another form of murder and that stuff, then most of the time you deserve to be getting like some kind of death penalty, or just be locked up for life in jail. And a lot of the time, that's what monsters deserve. If you are have some kind of desire to actually become one. And yeah, Beau Wilson shot 3 elderly women, and 6 others were injured. This was a very terrible day that has taken place in Farmington, New Mexico. And when you have a deadly mass shooter that you have to deal with, and you're at like public events, or if you're like, ever out on the streets and you see somebody with an AR-15 style rifle, or who's just shooting out of nowhere and that stuff, and you're wondering where that fire's coming from, you immediately want to seek shelter from the shooter. And you immediately would at least want to wait until, law enforcement arrives at the destination of where the shooting is taking place, and wait for the cops to deal with the shooter. And cops will have to kill the shooter if they have to, just to keep everybody safe. That's the best option. Depending on how bad of a killing spree that the mass shooter is trying to go on, normally it takes action from the police to actually shoot the shooter to death in order to keep everybody else safe from getting killed from the hands of a mass shooter. These mass shootings, honestly, I wish they just could stop completely. Literally, you hear stories about people just dying at the hands of a mass shooter, probably just like maybe every day, maybe every week, or maybe every month or so. And, people get sick and tired of hearing this over on, the breaking news on any news source that you get your source of information from. Now, honestly, you can't really trust Fox News. And in my opinion, I don't think Fox News is really good source of getting your news, especially because Fox News doesn't really get the truth and the facts out there very well. I wouldn't trust Fox News when it comes to breaking news. But sources like MSNBC, NBC, ABC News, a lot of time when there's incidents that happen like this, when there's a mass shooting that takes place, a lot of times they'll just get the facts out there and the truth out there, because that's what people, want to hear. And even if there were news sources other than Fox News that were, selling misinformation and that stuff, I'm sure that people would actually get, fired and lose their job over at these news sources. Because selling misinformation is just going to make people more angry. And selling misinformation and lying on air is not going to do you any good. It's just going to get you into deep trouble. Beau Wilson, he was a deadly mass shooter monster that had been taken care of by law enforcement. Beau Wilson had been shot dead in front of the First Church of Christ at 713 North Dustin. And I just want to, again, send his video. He dared police to take him on. And he had said to the cops that he said to the cops that he wanted them to come and kill Beau Wilson. Wilson said to the cops to come kill him. That's probably... He'd probably been so mentally unstable that he didn't even know what he was doing. But the fact that he started, shooting and killing 3 elderly women and injuring 6 others, that's proof that he should have been shot to death before he could have killed anybody else. Yes. The total number of people that had been shot, the 3 elderly women that were killed, and the 6 others that were injured, that total number is 9 people were shot. But only 3 elderly women had been shot dead. 6 others had been shot, but they were injured. And those numbers could have been higher if Beau Wilson had not been shot dead. But thankfully, and